There's an interesting article in Vice suggesting the idea of testing presidential candidates for cognitive decline. Executive function is a term. It sounds like we're talking about CEOs, but what we mean by executive function, it's a term that is a collection of cognitive processes necessary to control behavior. So very simply, it's things like attention span, inhibition. People should be inhibited to different degrees depending on the situation in which they find themselves. Memory, cognitive flexibility. Each of these has a specific scientific meaning. There are more and more questions about Donald Trump's cognitive decline, a 73-year-old man. There are questions being raised about Joe Biden that have come up, a 76-year-old man. There have actually not been any serious questions about Bernie Sanders' cognitive state. He's 78 years old. But there is a lot of disagreement about this because there are those who react and say, this is an ageist idea. I don't believe that it is ageist in the sense that there are a high percentage of people as they approach 80 years old, science tells us this, who have some level of reduced cognitive abilities. Now, I happen to believe that there are also significant advantages to being more experienced and having lived more time on this planet to being president. And there are areas, in fact, in which problem solving with a more less judgmental, more flexible sort of approach is present in older folks, and it is not present in younger folks. And there are all sorts of arguments that can be made. But given the science around it, it doesn't seem crazy to me, particularly given the behavior of Donald Trump, that we might say, maybe all candidates should be tested for cognitive decline. Or, you know, when it comes to driver's licenses, people start having vision tests and having to be retested only beyond a certain age. Some might say 65 or whatever the case may be. Now, I know there will be people who watch this clip or listen to me talking here, and they'll say, David, Trump was screened. He got the Montreal cognitive assessment, and he's fine. Now, this is nonsense. The Montreal cognitive assessment is a one-page, 30-point test that screens for very specific and very serious cognitive decline, sometimes connected to stroke or to certain types of dementia. It is completely unsuited for really figuring out if someone is fit to be president temperamentally and cognitively and all of these things. The Montreal Cognitive Assessment tests visual-spatial abilities, including, for example, saying, draw hands on a paper, on a drawing clock for what it looks like when it's 2:30. Draw a three-dimensional cube. You get 6 of the 30 points on the Montreal Cognitive Assessment just by saying it is, it is March 5th and I'm taking the test in Boston, Massachusetts, for example. I know it's not March 6th. I know it's actually June 10th. So this is not a test that truly can tell us whether one's behavior at a more nuanced level, one's inhibitions, one's memory, et cetera, is suitable to be president of the United States. This is merely about taking seriously the concerns that anyone who's been paying attention should have about what's happening with Donald Trump. And arguably with Joe Biden, there are some questions as well, forgetting Barack Obama's name, and we've had other examples of this. There are, again, this is not ageist. There are many ways in which older folks are better thinkers than younger people, approaching problem solving in broader ways. There's a list of them. There are nevertheless groups like AARP insisting that this is not something that should be the focus, period. But the president has proven it should be a focus. There is confusion. There is self-contradiction. Trump's visibly confused often. He has errors in judgment. He's spatially confused coming off of Air Force One. His limo's right in front. He starts wandering away and has to be pulled back by Secret Service. On and on and on. He wants to see the oranges of an investigation. We have the ability to test for this stuff. It is not beyond human scope to test for this stuff. The test that Donald Trump took, the Montreal Cognitive Assessment, cannot do it. It's too low a threshold. If he was impaired due to stroke or in other ways, the Montreal Cognitive Assessment might show it. It would not show what it is that Trump appears to be suffering from. But good luck getting candidates to choose to opt into this type of testing. The only way it might be made universal is if it's made mandatory, and that is extraordinarily difficult legally because the Constitution lays out very specifically, they are simple and basic guidelines. Citizen and 35, 37 years old. I don't even remember. I always get confused between 35 and 37 years old. I guess it's 35. But it is extraordinarily difficult from a legal perspective to add new requirements or change the requirements to be president of the United States. So let me know what you think. There's really two questions. Do you believe this is something that should be done to all, some candidates based on age, or no candidates at all? And if you do believe it's something that should be done, what is the mechanism through which it should be done? Should it be demanded as something that candidates should merely accept, sort of like most candidates release their tax returns and financial disclosures? Should we try to codify it into election law? Should it be done at the state level? Sometimes it's believed that states have more flexibility in terms of imposing additional requirements, like requiring tax returns to be released to be on the ballot, as we are seeing. Let me know what you think. I'm on Twitter at @dpakman. The show is on Twitter at David Pakman Show. And make sure that you're following me on Twitch at twitch.tv/David Pakman. Live streams upcoming this week on Twitch. I want to tell you about one of our sponsors called the Menlo Club, a men's fashion community that provides carefully curated style packages for any type of guy. And they're giving you, as a David Pakman Show viewer, your first box for $35 off when you click the link underneath this video or go to their site and use the promo code PAKMAN. As a member of the Menlo Club, you receive delivered right to your door a hand-picked apparel package that follows the season's latest trends based on your own unique style profile. I hate shopping for clothes. It's always been a pain to go to a store, figure out what to buy, and that's why the Menlo Club is so perfect for me. All I had to do was fill out a quiz on their website so they could learn my sizes and style preferences, and then I received clothes that perfectly fit my own personal style. So far, I've really enjoyed what they've sent me. All of their clothing is designed by their team in Los Angeles. Each box features items from their own in-house fashion brands, 5-4 Everyday Wear, New Republic Footwear, and Grand AC Athleisure Wear. In every box they send you, you get a minimum of 2 items, often more. Every box is different. Shipping's always free, and they let you exchange what you get if it doesn't fit. You can pause or cancel your subscription at any time. Right now, I am on their monthly subscription for $60 a month. But they also offer a seasonal subscription where they send you a box of clothing every 3 months for just $75. But regardless of which option you choose, they are giving everyone in our audience $35 off their first box. To redeem your $35 discount, just click the link under this video or go to their website and use the promo code PAKMAN at checkout.